Using tables in Word is a way to make the layout of your data a little bit easier to read and to align the data and make it organized and just overall easier to read. So let's go in and look at a couple of different ways to create a table. So I've got some data here I'm going to use in a table. It's 2 columns and 11 rows. So if I wanted to create a table from scratch, I would go under Insert Table, and there are several options here. If I just say Insert Table, it's going to ask me for the number of columns and the number of rows. So I know I want 2 by 11 there. I could also tell it to auto-fit the column widths to whatever the contents of the column would be. So if you have a longer column width like this one, this name is the longest entry in the column, so it will fit the first column width to whatever that longest column entry is. So for the second column, it would be actually the column heading, so it will auto-fit to whatever the contents are. I'm going to leave that as it is right now, and I'll show you in a minute how to adjust the auto-fit as needed. So I'm going to click on OK. So here I could go in and type my information, or I could copy and paste from here, but there's really an easier way that you could go in and do that. If I highlight the data that I already have, you'll notice that everything is aligned up in tabs. So if I turn on my formatting marks, you can see the arrows those are tabs in between the data, and I only have one tab in between. If you accidentally have multiple tabs in between, it's going to have a hard time determining how many columns to insert, for example. So I highlight, let's say for example, if I highlight this data and I highlight the row below accidentally, if I go under my Insert Table, I'm going to say convert the text that I have to a table. So we've already determined this is a 2 by 11 table. Well, it doesn't know how many columns and rows I have here because I've got this extra row highlighted. So if I do that, just be careful highlighting the data that you need. And now when I go in under Convert Text to Table, it recognizes that it's 2 by 11. And again, I'm going to leave my column width as fixed and not auto-fitted. It does tell me I can separate the text at different points. So I have tabs in between my data, as I showed you. You can have data that's separated by commas, comma delimited data. So you would just choose whatever item here that you need as to how the text is separated. So I will leave that at tabs. Now, you can see that it was inserting the table and adjusting it across the page. So let's do a little bit of editing here to make it look better. I'm going to highlight the data and I'm going to put it in a dark blue for the moment. And if you go to the borderline, similar to columns in Excel, but you can adjust the column widths as needed. Now, I can drag and drop that way, and that's fine. Or you can go to that column in between, the line in between, and double click, and that's what they call auto fit. So I can do the same thing here for the second column and auto fit. So you can do some basic formatting. Maybe I just want to make that centered. And I want to insert a row above this so that I can insert a title. You can use a caption, but I just want to show you how to insert a row. Now you can insert rows in between using this plus sign, or what you can do is you can go to the Layout tab, the Table Layout tab here, and you can insert your rows and columns here as well. So if I want to insert a row before this, I can just go click in that first line and click on Insert Above. I can also right click anywhere in that first row and tell it to insert above here. So if you right click, you can get those same options. So I'm going to insert my title. And the title needs to be merged across both columns. So let's merge and center that. The way that I'll do it is I'm going to highlight it. And you can see under the Layout tab, the Table Layout tab, you can see here it says Merge Cells. So the key is to highlight the two cells where you want those cells to merge and where you want to center the data above the columns. So you can also highlight it, right click, and go to merge, either way. And what that does is it creates one large cell where the data will be centered. So I'm going to center it here, and I can make that larger if I want to. Now you can also go in and under your layout you can delete columns and rows as well. If you want to change any properties with the table, click here. If you hover over your table, you can see that that will appear. So you can click here for your overall table properties and right click and go here for table properties. So this provides a lot of options for how you want to format the table. So I'm going to select the entire table and I want to go to Table Design and I want to add a theme to it. So let's just say, for example, if I like that one, no, that doesn't look very good. You can choose some different options and just look and see how those will appear. And see what works best for you. So the preview is nice. I'm going to go back, select the whole table, and center it. So you can see you can do a lot of things with tables there. The one thing I'll show you how to do is you can go to the table and select it. Let's say you don't like it in this table format, you want to put it back into the text format. Anytime you have a table like this that you want to convert back to text, select the entire table, and again I'm using that table properties button there, or table selector. And if you go to Layout, there's an option to convert to text. And it's going to ask you, how do you want to convert it back to text? Where ours originally had tabs in between, so that's what I'll choose. So you can see that you can convert it back to your text if you need. So play around with the options. There are a lot of different ways that you can create and format your tables in Word. Try to keep it fairly simple so that the data is easy to read.